St. Petersburg history. Many of us have attended our historic landmarks, but do you know some of our story?
Hi, my name is Olive. I'm going to teach you about a chalice. Lighting the chalice. The flame within a chalice, a cup with a stem and a foot, is a primary symbol of a Unitarian universal faith tradition. Many of our congregations kindle a flaming chalice in gatherings and worships, and feature the chalice symbol.
At this hour, in small towns and big cities, many of our sibling Unitarian Universalist congregations are also lighting a flaming chalice. As we light our chalice today, let us remember that we are part of a great community of faith. May this dancing flame inspire us to fill lives with the Unitarian Universalist ideals of love, justice, and truth.
My name is Amelia, and our announcements today are Rev Ben has found an apartment here in St. Pete and looks to begin part-time with us August 15th and full-time with us August 1st and full-time with us August 15th. We are so excited to have you.
Church is more than just a building, more than wood or metal or brick. Church is how we love our neighbor. Church is how we tend to the sick, feed the hungry and heal the suffering, welcome strangers and give to the poor. All our service is as worship, all our presence an open door. Church is more than a weekly gathering. Church is faith that's come alive, filling hearts and minds with passion, peace and hope that ever abide. Even as the building's empty, we are touched by the deepest of grace when the Holy Lives is within us. We are in a holy place. We're the church in the path we follow, showing care to those in pain. In the midst of fear and sorrow, we're the church, and here we'll remain, seeking justice, showing kindness, singing praises in all that we do. Church is more than just a building. It's our work toward a world made new.
Hello everyone, I'm Trish Harding and I'm one of the RE teachers at UU St. Pete, and I'm here with the story for all ages. It's John Murray and the Winds of Change, which is part of Creating Home. You never know what the wind will blow in or which way the wind blows. The wind can change directions and maybe change your life. It happened to John Murray. As a young man, John Murray had excellent fortune blow his way. He had a fine education, a steady job, a loving wife, and a young son. Life was good. Then suddenly everything changed. John Murray's wife and their son became sick and died. John lost his job, lost all his money, and was put in jail because he couldn't pay his bills. John was a very religious man, a Universalist, who had even preached about a loving God. Now he was not so sure what he believed. He felt his life was over. Friends urged him to go someplace where he could start again. He sailed for America on a ship named the Hand in Hand. The wind blew the ship towards their destination, New York, but then fog rolled in and the ship ran aground in New Jersey instead. John and a few others volunteered to leave the ship, go on land, and get directions and supplies. As he was walking ashore, John saw a farmhouse with a small chapel and church beside it. It belonged to Thomas Potter. Thomas Potter greeted John, gave him food for everyone on the ship, and invited him to come back and have dinner with him that night. When John came back, Thomas Potter showed him the chapel. Thomas Potter said he believed in a loving God who wanted to accept all people into heaven. John said that he believed the same thing. Thomas Potter told John that he had built the chapel and was waiting for God to send him a minister. "You, John, are that minister. I have waited for you a long time." John did not want to hear this. He was not a preacher anymore, and he was determined to never preach again. Yet Thomas Potter seemed confident that John was the Universalist preacher he waited for, and he asked John to preach on Sunday. "I can't preach on Sunday," said John, "because as soon as the wind changes, my boat will set sail and I must be on it." "If the boat has not sailed by Sunday, will you preach?" asked Thomas Potter. "If I am still here on Sunday, I will preach," said John Murray. Now, what do you think happened? Did the wind blow? Did the Hand in Hand sail away, taking John Murray with it? No wind blew, no ship sailed. John Murray preached on Sunday morning, September the 30th, 1770, in the chapel that Thomas More had built for him many years before. The Universalist message of the power of love was good news to many who heard. It was good news for John. The winds of change blew yet again for John Murray. Now he wanted to preach more than anything, and he did for many years, and helped found Universalism in America. He is one of the ancestors of our faith home, and we, as Unitarian Universalists, owe a special thanks to Thomas Potter. It was his hospitality that brought John Murray back to the pulpit. We also owe a special thanks to the wind that blew him in and would not blow him out.
Good morning. My name is Janae Johnson, and I'm your Religious Education and Communications Coordinator here at Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg, Florida, also known as UU St. Pete. The theme for this sermon is our story at UU St. Petersburg, Florida. When we think about stories, we often first picture storybooks and fairy tales. But being a person of story is much, much more. Stories tell us who we are. So today, we'll use our story to tell us who we are as Unitarian Universalists, as family, as living beings, as courageous people. So, with items like this Roots book and our membership congregation book and also our archives, we can dive into the history of our UU St.
UU
Pete.
congregations share a lot of attributes, but at the same time, no two UU communities are the same, and often their uniqueness is rooted in a very particular event in their history. History is what keeps that event alive, and even more importantly, story is what enables that event to become the glue that binds the community together.
In the early days of our church, one of the oldest Unitarian Universalist congregations in Florida was originally founded as a Universalist church and was the dream of one woman, Pearl Cole. The first Universalist Society of St. Petersburg was founded as the third Unitarian Universalist church in the state of Florida. The Universalist Church of Tarpon Springs was founded first in 1898, followed by the First Unitarian Church of Orlando in 1912, and our church, 1914. Pearl Cole and her husband, R.J., and son all held steadfast to the liberal teachings of Universalism. She longed for a church less rigid in the doctrines than most churches in St. Pete during the early 1900s. Now, in 1914, Miss Cole reached out to the West family, a newly arrived family from Philadelphia. When the West family arrived, Mrs. Cole said, yes, with my 3 plus the 5 in the West family, why, we can have a church. So, with a nucleus of 8 people, Reverend Barbara Ella Bartlett was our first UU minister in October of 1914. The First Universalist Society of St. Petersburg was organized on January 5th of 1915 right here on Mirror Lake. Now, during the early boom period of the 1920s, the church in the city of St. Petersburg grew rapidly. It was time to build a permanent church home, so the Reverend Dr. Standard Dow Butler became our second full-time minister in 1925. He concurred with the church's decision to form a stronger base for growth by uniting with the Unitarians. There was a conviction that all liberals must join together if success was to be achieved. Now, at a momentous meeting in spring of 1925, it was decided that the 2 liberal churches in St. Petersburg, the Universalists and the Unitarians, should federate for the founding of a liberal church. So 36 years before the official merger of Unitarian Universalism of May of 1961, St. Petersburg had already achieved such. Now, not only is our church very important for its history, but also for contributing to the very early growth of the National Unitarian Universalist Reverend Dr. George Gilmore, the one our hall is named after, was a Harvard scholar and served as a minister at the First Unitarian Church in Dallas and Denver. Now, his wife, Miss Nona Leach Gilmore, was an artist and singer active in the church and in the community. Now, during Reverend Gilmore's ministry, the church grew and the mortgage was actually paid off. But unfortunately, on March 12th of 1948, on their way back from a vacation trip, Dr. Reverend Gilmore and his wife was tragically killed in an accident. So, with that, their tragic deaths actually played a major part in how this church even grew even more. They were respected in the community, and so in payment of his services, our Gilmore Hall was named after him. Significant in the history of the church is the zeal of women who raised funds to keep the most complete historical records. The Women's Missionary Society was first, followed by the Ladies' Aid, the Women's Union, and the Women's Forum. Now, in the early 2 decades during the ministry of Weston and Barbara Stevens, 1974 to 1993, some annual events were inaugurated, such as Hanging the Greens and Caroling Party at Christmas time, the Harvest Festival, Thanksgiving Cedar Supper, and Easter breakfast, summer services, community forums, UU Bookstore, and the nonprofit downtown UU Preschool. There are even more to name. In their final decade, Barbara served as our religious education director. A children's chapel and outdoor playground were built. The Little House that we now use for our social justice was the center back then for art and adult programs. Now, the 2-story educational building was erected between August 1966 and March of 1967 at a cost of $121,000 and designed by Harvard Jarley architects. Classrooms on the second floor were named after Truthheart, Reffler, and Daisy Davis in recognition of the church's major contributions. Dr. Lana McLean Greeley, the president of the Unitarian Universalist Association at the dedication of the building, founded by the visionary action of one woman, Pearl Cole. The Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg continues to be an effective liberal religious vote in the Tampa Bay area. So with the history that I was able to share with you today, which of course you can find on our website, uustpete.com, and just type history in the bar. What does this story tell us about ourselves as a congregation? What values do your congregational stories, all these stories that we share, put at the center of who you are? Thank you so much for tuning in today.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We can feed on every need. Every need. We can feed on every need. Every need. We can feed on every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed on every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way, a new way, a new way, a new way.
Let's reflect on a mindful moment like winds of change. You never know what the wind will blow in or which way the wind blows. The wind can change directions and maybe change your life. It happened to John Murray in the story Miss Trish shared. What does the story tell us about ourselves as a congregation? What value does your congregational stories put at the center of who you are? The story is now in your care. Use it for inspiration within yourselves and ensure it is passed on to others.
To keep our congregation thriving, may we remember our connection to one another. And let us not forget our contributions to support the means to those connections. If you're watching today on a mobile device or computer, please hover your finger or cursor in the upper right corner of your screen and click on the I in the small white circle. You can also donate at uusp.org under the Giving tab, or by sending a check to the church office. Many thanks.
Hi, my name is Jake, and thank you for coming. In stories of your life, look for times when you love overcame hardship. Who do you owe special things to? Who helped you during a time of hardship? How did the story remind you of times of your own life? What did this story tell you about yourself?
Please join us in putting out the chalice. More true than now, we extinguish this flame, but the sparks within us alight from each of us in our supposed solitude. The signals buzz and hum, sparking through space, connecting us invisibly, but probably we are one. And from every window, our light shines.